Hello again, this is Alex with MasterChartsTrading.com, and this is market recap for Friday, August 6, 2021. As always, please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and share this video with others. MOASS, mother of all short squeezes, keeps going. I'll explain what I mean. All short sellers will be found and disabled, I guess. Small caps still lag, but I think they're gonna make a new records. I'm gonna show you what I mean here. There's a small divergence. Recent trade examples: Costco and GreenSky. I still have the GreenSky open. I'll show you a nice looking trade and the kind I really like for GreenSky. And dollar gives another buy signal while precious metals collapse today. On the heels of, I guess, good jobs report. Now I have a bunch of trades that are open, or rather a whole bunch of alerts that are open for my subscribers. So I'm not going to cover treasury bonds, gold miners, etc. They are going to be covered in the paid newsletter. If you're interested, sign up at MasterChartsTrading.com. So I have two services. One is called Elite Newsletter, where we trade various ETFs, as well as forex and commodities and some large cap stocks. And we have a speculator newsletter where we trade various stocks that are breaking out. So actually GreenSky is one of those stocks, and I'll show you what I mean by breaking out. So S&P 500, as always, I'm using my indicators that are, you can see on these charts. These are green, blue, red, and yellow lines, and you can find out more about them by clicking the description of the video and then going to the site. You can have them on your chart on TradingView. Alright, so not much has changed. We are seeing, again, as I said, mother of all short squeezes. So what does the short squeeze mean? It means that let's say you shorted the S&P 500, and I guess I keep showing this picture, and I don't know where to even sell it short, but let's pretend you sold it short, like right there on 19th of July. And then a new record was made, and you're like, well, where's my stop? I can't be short forever, as there's a great saying: markets can be irrational much longer than you can remain solvent. So if you're short indefinitely, you will no longer be solvent. So you need to put your stop somewhere. Let's say you shorted it on July 19th, but we're now making new records. It means you need to cover your short. This is exactly what's happening. People are covering their shorts. That means that they have to buy on the open market. So they're buying, and look what's happening. We have a new all-time record high today on the 6th of August 2021. As far as our long-term position, nothing really has changed, and I already showed this multiple occasions. We began, the breakout occurred right there on April 29th, 2020, over a year ago. Latest opportunity to buy S&P 500 was here on June 15th of 2020, and our stop would have been at this blue support resistance line, and notice it has not been touched yet. We just keep making new records. So this is what I call a mother of all short squeezes. It just keeps going, and we don't know when it's gonna stop. Maybe it will triple from today's levels before any kind of even a remotely small pullback will occur. Now, people say that this is a ridiculous prediction. Why would it triple? All you have to do is look at Bitcoin. It went from 7,000 to 64,000 in a matter of a few months. So anything can happen, and yes, there's all kinds of things that go into this thing called S&P 500. Things like earnings, things like corporate reports, things like fundamental analysis, etc., etc. And it matters some, but at the same time, does it really matter? So we're looking at technical analysis, right? And technical analysis is showing us that we don't need to think about any of that stuff. All we need to think about is where to buy at what point to buy. And that point actually happened last year in April. And notice that it has not been, our stop has not yet been touched. So we are long-term, just basically holding our long-term positions. Here's Dow Jones, same general principle alert. We started buying it back. We bought it basically. That was the last opportunity, like in May, possibly in June of last year, 2020, and that was it. No more touches of this blue support resistance. This is where I prefer to buy it, the blue support resistance. You can see that lately we've been just going higher and higher, way above it. So there is no good opportunity for me to get in. So as far as this particular ETF or this particular index, Dow Jones, we're holding our long-term position that was opened a while back. Same goes for QQQ, NASDAQ. So NASDAQ actually broke out a little bit earlier in April of 2020, on April 14th, 2020. And again, notice it has not yet touched this blue support resistance. And once again, we're seeing new all-time records. Again, you see, so short squeeze continues. Again, so let's say you shorted it, I don't know where, but let's say you shorted it right there on 14th of July. It went a little bit in your favor, but then new records are made. So again, you need to cover your short, and that's when you have to buy on an open market. The small caps. So the small caps are lagging a little bit. Small caps have made a new record right there on 15th of March of this year. They are about the same as far as correlations are concerned. So S&P and small caps correlate quite highly, but there are small differences which allows us to, for example, if there was no opportunity to buy NASDAQ, there was an opportunity to buy small caps here in September. Notice how it came down towards the blue support resistance, and this is exactly what I like to do. Just wait for the opportunity to come to you, buy it here, and just sit in a position. So right now we're seeing a little bit of a divergence, but I think we are going to make new record. And when small caps make a new record, then I think people will just say, well, look, economy is doing great. Small caps, the backbone of the economy, is doing great. So that's a fundamental analysis. And if you like that kind of thing, I can't really stop you from, analyzing it fundamentally, but actually you don't really need it. I know very little about fundamental analysis. I mean, I know some of it. I'm not just like a total ignoramus, but at the same time, the more I used my fundamental knowledge, the worse I performed as far as trading is concerned. Here, it's pure and simple. There's the entry right there, and that's all you need to know on 24th of September. Here's a few recent opportunities, and actually an actual trade. Here's Costco, and look at this beautiful breakout. So again, I don't know. I mean, maybe it was. Let me just put on the earnings. I want to kind of see if it was indeed the earnings report. So the earnings report occurred a little bit earlier than my signal on March 4th here. It was actually really negative. Look at this, and it skyrocketed afterwards. Here's a positive report, and it also continued higher. So again, please, just ignore them. Ignore all this report nonsense. You really don't need any of it. It only confuses people. Like, look, earnings, wow. All you need to do is just look at the lines. So if the stock closes above the blue support resistance, like I'm showing right there, this is your buy signal, 26th of March, 29th of March. And without knowing anything, you made 25%. You see. So this is a recent trade that just kind of immediately went in our favor. So wonderful when that happens. I love it. The subscribers love it. Does it happen every time? Of course not. We don't know, if it's gonna go immediately in our favor, if it's gonna meander a little bit, or if it's gonna even collapse against us and fail. So all of those are taken into account, and the system actually allows for all of those possibilities. That's why these 4 lines, they actually represent a complete trading system. So once again, I can explain this very easily, and there is a training video as well. For Costco, it was just a no-brainer. So here's another trade, and this is an actual trade, and I will go over it in more detail. So before I go into it, this is a type of trade that I like lately. This is called a breakout trade. So why is this a breakout trade? And this is a company called GreenSky. I don't know what they do. I think it's a financial company. The only reason why I'm kind of interested in this is because of the pattern. So this pattern is nobody cared about this stock. It made a low right there on 19th of March. It was quote unquote oversold. Really, nobody gave a damn about it. So it kind of just traded sideways, but then something happened, and once again, I don't know what happened. We can look at the earnings. Okay, let's look at the earnings. So something happened right there on 17th of February. This is where I would become extremely interested in this stock, because it has triggered my signal. It has closed above my blue support resistance line, and at that point it became bullish. It was no longer considered bearish. You see, was it triggered by a report? No, because there was no report at this time. There was a report a little bit later, and it was a really blockbuster earnings report, but we didn't base our decision to buy once again on the blockbuster earnings report. It's definitely helpful because people believe in that kind of thing, but for me it actually makes very little difference. I only look at the pattern. So I bought it on 3 different occasions. All 3 trades actually worked out in my favor. So this up white arrows is where I bought it. So first time I bought it was right there on the 2nd of March, and then I exited partially. I think I fully exited right there on 19th of March. So it was already a successful trade. And I always bought options. So I traded options. The second time I bought, and then because it kind of, I bought it here on 2nd of March, but then I took profits and I got stopped out. Again, the same thing happened here on 23rd of April. It went in my favor. I took profits and I got stopped out. And again, I decided to go ahead and buy it, this time on 11th of May. So this is the trade I'm going to go over. Right there, 11th of May. So what happened is the stock touched the blue line on 11th of May and closed above it. This is my trigger. When the stock touches the blue line, closes above it, this is my trigger to buy. So at this point I bought, and I put my stop all the way at the yellow line. You see how far I put it? But you have to understand that this stop is not like it's a movable stop. It's what I call initial stop. So notice what happened. I'm sitting in the position from May until very recently, until 30th of July. You see how long it took for the stock to go anywhere? It finally went to my target right there on 30th of July. So at that point, see what I wrote this, actually I sent to my subscribers, and I did the same thing myself. Target was achieved. I didn't take profits, but I moved my stop from the yellow line to entry. See, at this point, I cannot lose. This is my, what differentiates me from many other traders is that even though I give a wide stop, because there is no way to know if the stock will go in your favor, but once your target is achieved, you might as well lock in your gains. You don't want to be messing with success basically at this point. So once my target was reached, I moved my stop to entry, and I'm sitting there doing nothing. But then you can see it popped even higher. So I bought GreenSky calls at $1 each. So if you know how to trade options, that means you need to multiply by 100. So each of my contracts cost $100. At this point, on the 3rd of August, so a few days ago, they cost $135. That's a 35% gain. Today I checked, they're close to $2 each. So it almost doubled, and it seems like it really wants to continue higher. So there is really not yet a trigger. So at this point, I sold a third on the 3rd of August. I sold a third of my contracts at $1.35. I locked in my gains. Of course, my stop is already above my entry. So in case it drops, I'll just be out with at least some profit. But it seems like it really wants to continue higher. And this is the type of breakouts. So this is the breakout trades that we trade in the speculator newsletter. You can see how many. I actually prefer speculative breakout trades. And it already exceeded the previous high from the 12th of March. So there's a great chance it will continue higher. Sometimes they just go, multiple hundreds of percent. And when they go multiple hundreds of percent, options go even more. Sometimes, so you can see that from the entry 11th of May to now, the stock went 37%, but the option actually went 100%. So I usually say 3 times. Usually stock goes 30%, then the option goes 100%. So this is the type of trade we do, and I actually prefer this type of trades. And if you trade options, this is one of the easiest way to trade options. Right, and another thing is I keep hearing about inflation, but people are scared that this inflation will come back in sort of like a 1970s style. So 1970s style inflation was a lack of trust in the dollar and in the general economy. Now, I don't think that inflation, if it's going to happen, is going to happen in the same way as in 1970s. Right now, what we're seeing is what's called disbalances. We're seeing disbalance between supply and demand. So for some reason, certain products are difficult to find, like, for example, computer chips, and by extension, the prices are going up. But there is really no loss of trust in the money. There's no loss of trust in the dollar. In fact, the opposite is happening. What I'm seeing here is this is DXY dollar index. So this is a basket of multiple currencies, mostly euro, but you can see that it did indeed start to go down, and this is a bear market starting in 2nd of June. It continued down. It bottomed out exactly on the date of the riot in capital, January 6, 2021. And then since then it was making higher lows and higher highs. The important thing for me is that it overcame resistances. So yellow line is resistance. If the stock is below the yellow line, then it becomes a resistance. The same thing happened here on the 18th of June when it overcame the red line resistance. So at this point I'm like, this is very, very interesting. Finally, on the 13th of July here, a new bull market in the US dollar has started. I actually also wrote about this, so you can kind of find me on TradingView, and here are my ideas. Death of the dollar, what inflation, all of those things. I'm not making it up. I'm actually posting this, so you can kind of follow me on TradingView. But today, again, this is a bullish sign. So dollar is gaining in strength. Other currencies are losing versus the dollar. So as this, there is a commonly misattributed quote that to Mark Twain, that my death was news of my demise was greatly exaggerated. The same thing, the news of the death of the dollar is greatly exaggerated. When dollar is gaining, so we need to look at gold, we need to look at precious metals. So again, think about how it's traded. XAU divided by USD. So this is gold versus US dollar. Gold divided by US dollar. So as I just showed you, dollar is getting stronger, dollar is getting bigger. You know, maybe it'll become 100 each. If the lower part of this equation becomes bigger, it will pull this currency pair lower. This is exactly what's happening. It took a while, but it's taken a while rather, but it seems that finally, you know, dollar is gaining, gold is continuously under pressure. So latest alert right there on 16th of July. Actually, this is already a successful trade. You know, you can already make good money here. So I usually, this is called average true range, ATR. It's a free indicator. So there it is, average true range. You can it just shows you how much the stock or a security moves on average. So on this daily chart of gold, gold on average moves around 20 bucks. So there, where I'm hovering, it says 21. And I usually give a target of 2 times average true range. And you can see that from the alert on 16th of July, where I'm hovering, this is an actual alert. So if you shorted gold here, let's say you bought puts on GLD, you can do it, or you can buy inverse ETF for gold. If you shorted it right there on July 16th, today you would have reached your target. Okay, so that I consider this a successful trade. It sure seems like it's going to continue lower. What I'm watching for is these lows here from March 30th. If they break, then that's it. It's gonna be a huge move, I think, to the downside, and we can kind of estimate. So let's say there's the head and shoulders kind of business, maybe easily the depth of this pattern. So if we break this March 30th low, easily another 12% down for gold, you see, and that's on top of where it's already been. So looks kind of bad. Looks kind of like the inflation from the 1970s style doesn't seem to be happening. It's just not there. So all right, so this is basically it. All of the stocks and all of the other securities, you know, they're open trade, so I don't want to kind of ruin it for the subscribers. But if you're interested, head over to MasterChartsTrading.com. That's MasterChartsTrading.com. Click on products. Sign up for one of the products. So number one, of course, is the trading indicators. These lines, green, blue, red, and yellow lines. So these lines basically will simplify your life. You know, if you're a trader, you want to have something that is easy. Okay, so sign up, have these lines, and then just trade. It's really, really straightforward. I have all kinds of training materials, so you can ask me questions, and there's also training videos. The indicators and newsletters, so together you'll get the newsletter and the elite newsletter and the speculator newsletter. And like I said, we cover many of the large caps and the various securities like euro versus US dollar, commodities, gold, etc. in the elite newsletter. And then the speculator, we just cover all kinds of interesting breakout stocks, like I just showed you for GreenSky, for example. You know, that's a breakout stock right there. It was a very nice gain, and it seems to continue. Now, if you also trade a lot and you want to have your own stock screener, so this screener is actually quite nifty. And what you can do is you can set it to find stocks that are, for example, breaking above the blue line or breaking below the red line, for example. So you can see there are many different lists, and each of those lists give quite a bit of signal, so you definitely will not be bored. And this is more for people who trade a lot. My personal favorite, of course, is this, all stocks with options. So you can see I get about 130 alerts per day, and then based on that, I go ahead and I filter them out and look for the best kind of setups for my subscribers. So this is a speculator newsletter, and also the ultimate bundle, which contains the stock screener. We also have the MetaTrader indicators that are now available for MetaTrader 5.0, so you can sign up. We also have an expert advisor. If you know what I'm talking about, expert advisors are basically trading robots that has already been developed, but we do need beta testers. So if you are interested in testing out our expert advisor or testing out the indicators, please send me a message. You can send a message here, or you can send a message through contact me page. If you're interested in learning from me, Trading Academy, sign up form, or rather the inquiry form, send me a message. We can figure out how to set up a learning. All right, that's it for this week's recap. Again, if you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks for watching, and have another great trading week. Bye-bye.